Hi there, my name's Allison Nicoll and today I'm going to talk to you about machine quilting on your domestic sewing machine. We're going to be covering straight line quilting and also ditch quilting in this video. So I hope you enjoy and be sure to check out our other video on free motion stipple quilting. It's really important before you start quilting to make sure that your machine is set up correctly. Now there are a few things that you need to do. You'll need to actually attach a walking foot. If you don't have one yet, this is an absolute necessity when you're quilting at home. It's a foot that actually allows the fabric and the layers of the batting and wadding to just glide through your machine with ease. It really helps your back and shoulders, and it makes your end result of quilting so much nicer, and it gives a more even finish. The other thing that I like to do is I actually like to reduce my foot pressure. Some machines will have a dial on the side or under the top cover, and I actually reduce mine back to a 0. So once we've done that, the other thing that I like to do is I like to increase my stitch size. Now I take my machine right up to a 3 when I'm machine quilting. Now ditch quilting, as you'll notice here, is when you press your seams to one side, you will notice that the ditch runs down the side of it. And then as we go over to this side, it runs over to the other side. So we need to make sure that we're nesting our stitches directly into that seam line. You need to go really slow and steady so that you can actually see where your stitches are running. I'm just lining up my needle with my ditch line, and then I'm just going to run the line through. Now it really is about slow and steady with this, because if you go super fast, what actually happens is you will run over that seam line, and if you're doing ditch quilting, it needs to actually be in the ditch. So we tell our girls that you need to really slow and steady, and just watch where your needle's actually punching into that ditch. And then I just always reverse just a little bit at the end, and then finish off there. And so as you can see, it's gone right into that. Another popular quilting style at the moment is straight line quilting, and it's a really great technique because you don't actually have to mark up quilting lines. All that I've done here is I've actually just lined my walking foot up along the seam line to get my stitching lines. And then if you're going to add more straight lines, you just continue to line your walking foot up along your last stitching line. So I just line my walking foot up with the seam. Again, it is all about slow and steady, just so that you can see where your fabric is running through, and you've just got a little bit more control over your machine. So all I'm doing here is I'm just lining my walking foot up against my seam line, and that's giving me my stitching line. And by releasing your foot pressure off, what's happening is it's just really allowing that fabric just to glide through. Now again, I just reverse just to lock those stitches in. So this is the finished block that I've done, and as you can see, I've lined the edge of my walking foot up with the seam, which has given my stitch line, and then I have literally just run across horizontally and vertically to give a cross-hatched look. Now another tip with straight line quilting is you're able to line up any part of your walking foot with your seam line. Just make sure that there's consistency there, so you have to remember where you've lined your walking foot up with against your seam line. So for me, I've actually lined the edge of my feed dogs against the seam line, so I just need to remember that I need to make sure that's where I continue to line up my machine, so that there's consistency and accuracy right the way through my quilting. It's just about finding the place on the walking foot that you feel comfortable and that you think is a nice enough spacing between your lines. Okay, now these fabrics that I've used for my quilting demonstrations today are called Happy Days, and these are actually available right now in our online store.
smile.